Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Direct Connection. We are live tonight from the state's largest grower of medical marijuana. These plants, which it would be illegal to have outside of this building, are the beginning of the growing process here at Curio Wellness. Joining us is Michael Bronfein, Curio CEO. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming, Jeff. We're really pleased to have you tonight.
First question is, why am I wearing the bunny suit?
Because this is a plant where we grow raw material to create medicine. And so under FDA regimes, it has to be hygienic. We don't use any type of pesticides, insecticides, or any other crop control agent except for love, water, and fertigation.
And people may hear, this is a noisy environment. Yeah. It's the air purification. It's bright LED lights. Tell me about the business. This has been live for over a year now. What's happened in that year?
Well, it's been an exciting time, and candidly, a time of great learning. You know, when you undertake a new disruptive industry, you build a theoretical model of what you think it's going to be, and then you create an actual operating plan, and then you learn you've made plenty of mistakes and had plenty of wrong assumptions, but you had some good ones also. And so we have evolved literally 180 degrees over this first year through a lean management system and some other techniques we use, to the point where this is a very well-oiled machine now, where we're delivering large quantities of product every week with no defects and great customer satisfaction.
Globally, beyond your company, what's happened to medical cannabis over the last year or two?
I think it's become more and more accepted as a true medicinal product, and I think some of the historical negatives or things that people thought that were promulgated by the government, which were false, are starting to clear away. So it's kind of this dark cloud's going away. And interestingly, the largest cohort of growth for us has been baby boomers. And I suspect, first of all, because they probably had some cancer experience back in college, but more importantly, they got a lot of aches and pains, and traditional medicines can sometimes be interactive in a way that's not very good. And the medicinal cannabis plant is very safe. It has very low interaction tolerance. So it allows you to use it with many other things at low levels in a very effective way.
Let's explain how the system works in Maryland. Designed by the legislature, there are licenses for growers and retailers, essentially, and somebody in the middle. What do you have?
So there are 3 different licenses. There is a cultivation license to grow the plants. There is a processing or manufacturing license to create the product that is in some other form. You extract the oil from the plant, and then you turn it into other pills, capsules, liquids, so forth. And then there's a retail distribution network. Those are the dispensaries. We're fortunate to be one of 7 companies that has all 3 licenses. But our primary business is to enable the success of the dispensaries across the state by giving them our products on a very regular and consistent basis.
You're a business guy, a trail of successful healthcare businesses, private equity businesses. So you didn't come into this, I don't believe, as a marijuana expert, but you've learned something about these plants.
Yes.
The things behind us, the big ones,
yes.
It looks like a topiary sort of thing.
Yes.
And then we have these little cuttings. I
Yes.
gather these came from that.
That's correct. These are called mother plants. We use a cloning process so that we can get the genetics from a particular strain exactly the same from crop to crop, plant to plant. So we have a proprietary process for picking seeds, turning them into the best by winnowing out the weaker genetics through both growing and analytic testing. We have our own analytic lab here. And then once we get to the prime crop, if you will, we'll use one of these mother plants for approximately 4 months. The first thing we do with the new mother is we take cuttings and start creating the new baby that's going to become the next mother, because these mothers have a useful life where the quality of the plant is determined by how many cuttings you lick, and as it gets older, they diminish in quality. So we focus on measuring certain cannabinoid content and other markers of health and yield, and we try to maximize the life of the plant to optimize that yield and cannabinoid.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about medical cannabis, Shortly, we're going to be talking to the head of the pharmacy, the dispensary operation. You can send us an email. No phone calls tonight, but send an email to livequestions@mpt.org, and we'll try to get your question answered during the program. What's your competition like, and how do you do things differently than the rest of the market?
Well, I think we're one of a very few that are only dedicated to medicinal cannabis. We are not in favor of, nor do we want adult use, because we think Maryland is a place where we can build an ecosystem and an industry that creates exportable intellectual property and products, and we'd like to see that happen. In fact, we've just worked with the legislature on a new bill to allow for academic research here in Maryland. And so most of the companies haven't made the investment in the pharmaceutical grade environment and equipment that we've had, and they don't have people from big pharma like we have who are working on chemistry and drug discovery and such things. There are some very fine companies out there, and then there's some companies that really just want to grow cannabis because they think it's a good thing and they think they can make money doing it, but they're not dedicated to the investment, research, and development that we are.
I mean, the trend is moving in the direction, as you said, of varying degrees of legalization, whether recreational becomes law in Maryland at some point or not. But federal law has changed.
Yes.
Congress passed, President signed a bill, and I think it was a side item in the bill, but it makes CBD, and I get the letters mixed up.
Yeah, that's correct.
But it basically legalizes CBD and hemp. Is that right?
It legalizes the CBD that's derived from hemp. CBD can come from hemp or it can come from the cannabis plant. They're both derivative of an original plant. The hemp plant has very, very low, it has to have less than 0.03% THC, the psychoactive agent that's in cannabis, in it in order to qualify for its hemp. And so now, because of the Farm Bill, which you're referring to, people will be able to, on a state-by-state basis, decide what level of participation in the hemp market they want. So they've kind of made it a states' rights act, but with a pure go-ahead from the federal government.
CBD is the stuff that gets all the press lately. Does it affect your business model if somebody, without all of this investment overhead, can grow acres of hemp and refine CBD out of it less expensively, potentially?
Yes and no. It really doesn't, because in our case, we can grow at very low costs, and in addition, we have to have certain levels of purity, and we don't know yet if hemp can deliver that because we've never worked with it, but we know we can get it from cannabis. So we have right now a full flowering room or hygienic cultivation chamber, as we call them, that's filled with a 18-to-1 CBD to THC ratio plant, which we use for our CBD products. Ultimately, I think if it is available and it's pure, we'll buy it as a raw material, just like we buy other raw materials that we don't create on our own.
First question in by email: how can somebody invest in this industry? You're privately held, but not everybody is.
No, there is about 30 or 40 newly minted Canadian public stocks, two of which actually trade on American exchanges, and so you can pick through one of those. One of our local competitors here, we happen to think a lot of, is a company called GTI. They recently went public. So, there's a lot of companies out there that we think are very good, but they're public. This is a family-owned business. We have outside investors, but we're going to continue to just build it and grow it and keep it.
I have a bunch of emails on some of the more technical questions about prescribing. So what we're going to do is take a break, and we will come back with your clinical director as Direct Connection continues on MPT.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
This is a box A box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box. But the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
We are the curious.
Wow!
The adventurous.
Oh!
Those venturing out for the first time.
And those who've never lost our sense of wonder.
Whoa! You seeing this?
We are the hungry.
The strong.
I must be the greatest!
The joyful.
A happy little cloud.
We believe there is always more we can uncover.
More we can explore.
We believe in the capacity for goodness.
And the potential for greatness.
The torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans.
PBS. PBS.
PBS.
Back live at Curio Wellness at an undisclosed location in Baltimore County, joined by Brian Sanderoff, who runs the side of the business that sells things to people.
Correct.
How do you describe what you do over there?
So I'm the general manager and the clinical director of the dispensary. So my job is to make sure that, one, we're helping patients, making sure that they're getting the right products the right way. I counsel patients all day long, also make sure that we're living up to all of the regulatory requirements, that we don't do anything wrong.
What's the last year been like for you?
Oh, it's been a whirlwind. It's just unbelievable. So our dispensary's been open for about 10 months, 11 months now, and it's just been fantastic. Surprise after surprise. Every day I get up excited to go to work, seeing what I'm going to learn.
Let me ask you a slightly skeptical question, which is what I do. I mean, clearly a lot of people are being helped by this, but you also read increasingly about people smoking this stuff, psychoses, impaired driving. How do you think about the balance between taking the good stuff and people maybe not knowing what to do with the dangerous parts?
So the way that I approach it is that I want people to be able to use this in a guided way. And using it in an unguided way, it's much more likely to cause problems than if you're using it guided properly. So that plant contains hundreds of bioactive compounds, and matching the right ones to the right person with the right condition is how you eliminate or really, lower the chance of having problems.
The intermediate step that Michael was talking about between grow these things and sell this stuff, which we'll talk about.
Right.
Describe the functionality there. How does it work, and how's it evolving?
It's amazing the way it's evolving, and especially the way that we at Curio go after it, making sure that what we're making is reliable, it's repeatable, we know it's going to be effective for people, more like a pharmaceutical than it is an herb, more the science than the art of using this medicine. We mine the research, we do some research on our own, we put together products that we think are going to be effective, we test them.
All right, we haven't talked about this stuff before, but I'll ask it in terms of the most common complaints that people walk in the door with, and how some of this may be able to help.
Pain, definitely. I can't tell you how many patients I have who are no longer on opioids where they were 6 months ago, a year ago. Sleep is a big issue. A lot of autoimmune diseases, things like MS, neurological problems like Parkinson's or ALS, anxiety.
All right, so what might you...
A whole variety of products that are available here in all sorts of different forms. So this is a container that would actually contain the flower, the raw flower that someone would grind down and then either smoke or consume with a vaporizer. Right. These are packages for the actual vapes that we have. And so this is an oil that someone would attach to a battery and vaporize that.
Right.
There are pre-rolled cannabis products, a little bit higher, sorry. We used to call these joints, now they're called pre-rolls, right? Or there's all sorts of ways to consume the medicine in a different way. So this is a tincture that somebody would put underneath their tongue and it would absorb through the mucosa in their mouth. There's some advantages to doing it that way. One of the things as a pharmacist I love about that is that I can be very, very specific with the dosage that I'm giving somebody. There are topicals, there are all sorts of concoctions that people use.
Viewer writes in, says you mentioned not being completely supportive of recreational use. Can you elaborate on that?
So, as I said, I want people, and it's funny because I don't even think in terms of adult use versus medical anymore. I just think in terms of guided versus unguided. And what I want to do is make sure that people are using this medicine in the most appropriate way for them. And there can be lots of ways that it may be used inappropriately. Maybe there's interactions with prescription medicines that they're on. Maybe the combination of cannabinoids that someone uses isn't really good for someone that has anxiety. And so I just want people to use it in a guided way.
How good is the data that the guidance is based on? It gets to this email from a viewer: for adults over 50 who need to manage pain, are there long-term studies concerning short and long-term memory loss?
So yes, there are, although I have to say that a lot of the studies don't come from the United States because of the constraints that have been put on cannabis here in the United States. It's been difficult for institutions to do the kind of studies that we're used to. But we can look to Israel, we can look to Europe, we can look to Canada, where they've been doing studies, and there are. The short-term memory thing is completely manageable if we're using the right combination of medicine, and if it were to happen to somebody when they stop using the medicine, that problem has a tendency to go away. But I can tell you with 11 months of clinical experience, I have not seen that problem.
How does it work in Maryland? The nuts and bolts of it, somebody can't just walk in off the street to your office and walk out with something.
Correct. So step one is they have to become registered. They do that online. They go to the MMCC, which is the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission website, click on the button for patients, and you upload some information, and then you become registered. That process right now is taking somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks. Assuming all those things are correct, you'll get a 16-digit number that starts with the letter P for patient. Step two is then to become a certified patient, which means you have to go to a prescriber or a recommender who will certify that you are a valid patient for using cannabis. Once that's done, then you can go into a dispensary and get medicine.
There was a pretty liberal definition of who the prescribers can be, right? You don't have to be an MD.
Well, so you can be an MD, you can be a nurse practitioner, you can be a podiatrist or a dentist, if I have that correct. They all have to be able to prescribe controlled substances right now. So you have to have a CDS license to be able to recommend this.
Okay. Viewer wants to know, can medical cannabis alleviate pain from Lyme disease? Have you seen Lyme patients?
Absolutely. I've had several patients that I can think of right away that have had success with that. So it's not necessarily the Lyme that it's treating, it's the pain part of that. Cannabis has been shown to be anti-inflammatory, very, very helpful for pain.
Well, let's see. The question about hemp, and I asked Michael about this earlier. The federal government basically legalizing CBD through the hemp channel. Correct. Thoughts on that?
We use it. We sell it to our patients. They don't have to be members or registered within the commission to be able to use it. Basically, you can get it over the counter.
Okay, so you can sell some stuff to people who are not registered.
That's correct.
Okay.
It doesn't come from cannabis. It comes from hemp. So hemp-derived CBD doesn't really have THC in it and can be very effective, although I'll tell you that clinically most of us feel that CBD with at least a little bit of THC is more effective than CBD by itself.
Okay. All those letters confuse me a little bit. THC is the stuff that people who are into recreationally.
That's the one where you can feel some euphoria from.
Where has CBD been tested? I mean, what do we actually know about it other than it's hot at the moment?
Well, it has been tested, and we do see results with pain, for anxiety, for energy, helping with sleep, if that sleep problem is related more to anxiety and pain, muscle relaxation, seizures, immune function. All of those issues or conditions have been shown to be helped by CBD. CBD from hemp is sort of like a cousin of cannabis, so which supplies the CBD, which is another cannabinoid. And by the way, I think they've discovered over 100 different cannabinoids now. And so when you and I have this discussion in a year and then another year, we'll know so much more.
How often do people consult Dr. Google before they come see you? In other words, how much research are people doing? How accurate is the stuff that people find online about these products?
I'd say the accuracy is about the same as in regular medicine when people consult Dr. Google. You can find some good information and some bad information. That's why people come to us. That's why I'd like to see people use it in a guided way and use that guidance from a health professional who understands biochemistry, potential interactions with other medicines that someone might be using. I would say that a lot of my patients, especially the sort of cannabis naive patients, they haven't done any research. They've heard about it either from their doctor or from a neighbor. They get certified and then they come in and then they rely on us to help educate them.
What's happening in the medical community? So you were a long-term licensed pharmacist. Do you think the establishment, the medical establishment, is becoming more favorable? Not? To what degree? What do you see?
Yeah, there's sort of three camps out there, and there's the ones who are the adopters who understand it, who see results with their patients and like it. There's that camp that says, I'm not sure, I don't know about it, and then there's a camp that says, no, you can't use it or you shouldn't use it. And so I'd say it's changing and it's shifting, and probably the shift is most responsible for that shift is patients coming in telling their doctors that they're getting results.
Very good. Brian Sanderoff, Curio Wellness, thank you for the time.
My pleasure.
Appreciate all the insights, and we will continue live from Curio Wellness right after this.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
And we're back live at the state's largest medical marijuana facility, Curio Wellness. Michael Bronfein is the CEO here. How many, standing next to a lovely plant, by the way.
Thank you.
How many folks have you hired in starting this up?
So far, we've hired 105 people, and I'm proud to say that over the course of the first 18 months, 18 of them have been promoted from an entry-level job to a mid-manager, from a mid to a higher level, and we instituted, once we passed over break-even, a living wage. So our minimum wage in this building is $15.
What are most of those folks doing? I know there's a big production operation here.
Yes.
What are most of the jobs like?
So there's really kind of semi-skilled and highly skilled. So semi-skilled would be people that do horticulture, preparation, pruning, planting, all the things required to tender to the plants, and then the trimming, curing, and packaging of them. And those take various levels of skill sets, and we've developed training programs and best practices around all those. On the manufacturing side, we have chemists, we have pharmacologists, we have people who are involved in analytical work, and so there's a number of advanced degree people who are doing drug discovery, formulation, and then we have a manufacturing team who takes the oil that we create, they purify it, they separate it, and then they create recipes, and we create products.
Where do you think there might be misconceptions among regulators, among your fellow business people, among members of the public about just what has happened since this went live in Maryland and what the business is all about?
Well, I think probably the first misconception is that people don't appreciate the level of quality the Maryland program has. We have an excellent testing protocol here. So the public is getting very safe product, no metals, no pesticides, no contaminants of all, and all of us, all the growers in this state have to abide by a very, very strict regulatory regime for hygiene and quality. So we are providing cannabis and cannabis-derived products that are highly pure.
Where can people get more information?
Well, they can go to our website, CurioWellness.com. They can go to the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. And by the way, we call it cannabis, not marijuana. It's proper name. So we'll.
I say marijuana sometimes, so people understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no,
right?
I understand. Well, we're trying to change the conversation. That's a lot of part of what our strategy is about, and talking about science and facts as opposed to other things. So, but the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission website's also a good spot.
Very good. Michael Braunfein, CEO here. Thanks for the time. Thanks for making us sort of look funny. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business. And join us Friday for State Circle and a full wrap-up on the week's news from Annapolis. Please follow us on Twitter at MPT News. Now, for all of us at MPT, thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.